It's Seeing Red, the New York Soccer Roundup. Since 2010, your weekly source for independent New York Red Bulls news and opinion. Now, from the Joe Goldstein studio, here's your host, Mark Fishkin.
Mark Fishkin here with Daniel Rebain. You know, soccer is a game of mistakes. Yeah. It certainly is. Sunday in Charlotte, Red Bulls made one, Charlotte made none. Charlotte beat the Red Bulls 1-0. It's not that complicated. Incredibly, Chicago lost even worse than the Red Bulls, elevating New York into 9th place with just 6 matches to go. Next up, the first of 2 against the Columbus Crew. It's Seeing Red. Tonight on the show, we'll break down the breakdown in Charlotte. Will we have a Bull of the Week? We'll look at the playoff picture, lay it out plain. We'll preview the Crew's visit to Harrison this Saturday. I don't think this is the worst time for Columbus to come in. I think they're a little shaky and some emails. Daniel, it's been a little bit. How you been, my man?
I've been fine. As you can tell by my hair, it's been a hot summer. Got rid of it all because I was sweating way too much. So yeah, back with you. Another Red Bull, disappointing loss. Even though we'll get more into it, but yeah, unfortunately 1-0 loss, and now they're still fighting for that last spot.
It feels a lot like the loss in Chicago a few weeks ago, where, for my money, they played well enough to deserve a point. Obviously, you have to score if you want points, but they certainly did more than Charlotte did, and perhaps it was the game state. New York played well in both the back and the middle thirds of the field. Charlotte only had 4 shots on net the whole match, 2 on target. One of them was their first, which was the big mistake. Sofo with a bad giveaway. Parker, split second of 2 minds. Which player should I focus on? Do I want to help out Noah Ayla in the center? Do I want to look to my left at Vargas? He did not do the latter. Vargas roofs it. And just like that, New York had played very well up until that point, I think really stymieing Charlotte's attack. New York had, it was a lot of possession that just didn't really know how to get where it wanted to. 3 of 15 shots from New York went on frame. When your number 1 shooter on the night is Raheem Edwards, I think it speaks to how Charlotte playing with a lead really throttled the offense, Dan.
Yeah, and obviously it was ironic when Taylor Twellman's talking about Red Bull being the better team, and then as he says that, Sofo gives up the ball and Charlotte goes and scores. And I think that was the whole game. The game plan for Red Bull, they had it perfect up until that point where they were holding the ball, they were suffocating Charlotte, and they didn't give anything up other than that one chance. And obviously that comes back to haunt them, especially with their lack of goal scoring inside the penalty area. So tough result. As you said, they played well. I thought they played well. They had their chances to get that point or even get all 3. But when you are lacking goal scoring outside of 2 guys, and when one skies his header late in the game off his collarbone,
last touch,
even though I was looking at it again, looked like he might have been offside, like tad offside. So I don't know if it would have counted, but either way, it was definitely not a good look. Red Bull get nothing out of the game, and a game that they needed points out of that. So.
And to be clear, I mean, Charlotte has now won 7th straight in the league.
Yeah.
I think there's an understanding that New York's road woes this year are the story of the season because they played so well at home.
Yeah.
You get 2 more wins on the road and you are comfortably above the line.
Yep.
And you're angling for 4th place. I mean, that there's that much.
Everybody's sandwiched in the middle.
Everyone's tight in the middle. Right. And, both Taylor Twellman and Jake Ziven all night, only 8 goals on the road all season. And you really just saw how Charlotte said someone else has to beat us, which is the way you take down New York. You put 2 guys on Chupo, you put a guy and a half on Forsberg, and you basically make kind of the ineffective wing players beat you, and that certainly hasn't happened. Cornell had an amazing point blank save on Toklamati. You figure he's good for at least one of those a game. Edwards almost tied the game on an Olympico, which I think shocked Edwards as much as anyone else in the stadium. And then Forsberg had his late header over the bar. New York did not do a lot of things wrong. They just didn't do enough. They did one thing wrong for 15 seconds, and they did a lot of things right, but not enough of them. This really reminded me of how New York has gone out of the playoffs like 100 times over the like. It really felt like a playoff game in the sense that New York just needed the goal. They just needed the goal. They just needed the goal, and it just didn't come. And so I think they've lost now 4 of 6 in the league. And again, due to Chicago getting trucked by Philadelphia, New York is now above the line on goal difference. Chicago has the match in hand. So, Daniel, I mean, is it possible? Is there a bull of the week for this match other than the traveling support?
It's hard because like nobody really stood out, if we're being honest, other than like Edwards with his offensive creativity in that game where he almost won the game. He almost got them a point himself with his 2 opportunities.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't know if there's really a bull of the week. I don't know if any. We might have to say one and just hold our noses. That's how bad it is of a week. So sure, I'll say Raheem Edwards for his efforts.
I'll give mine to Cornell because the playoff clinch may come on goal difference the way that these teams are playing. And keeping that a 1-0 game and not a 2-0 game late in the second half gave New York life. Not that they took advantage, but I'm giving one to Cornell.
I think, all right, so actually one before we move on, I think we have to talk about when Red Bull plays 3 at the back and then they drop Mohamed Sofo to right wing back. I think we've seen that doesn't work already this season.
No, and
he had to go, and they went back to the well again, and it costs them again. So I don't know, what the thinking is there. But I just feel like we have to stop, or they have to stop doing that. Like that's just not a strategy you can be doing down the stretch in a critical time of the season.
Yeah, I hear you. And also, I mean, late in the game, Julian Hall is out wide, completely open in injury time. Edwards doesn't like looks at him and then decides to, I think he just kind of like pushed the ball forward and it rolled over the goal line. And it's like, and I don't want to take anything away from Edwards because I said on socials, like this is one of his, if not his best match in a New York uniform. We all know that he was brought into the team by Julian de Guzman late because Marcelo Morales wasn't healthy coming into camp and they needed cover. He's played a lot of minutes, a lot of games. He's made plenty of mistakes. But I thought, and he made mistakes in this game, that being one of them. But again, I thought he laid it all out there for him. So, so be it. All right, down the stretch they come. Let's take a look. Here's the remaining schedule. City looks clear. City looks like they're not going to be close to the line. They're in 8th now. I believe they can probably get up to 5th this week with a win over DC United. DC is garbage and playing out the string. They've been eliminated. Again, it's that week of September 13th to the 20th. I think City has, going into the Red Bull game, we talked about this last week, I think they play 4 games in like 12 days.
Oh yeah, no, it's they play 3 games in 6 days.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very tight. And for New York, not that they may be able to catch City by the time that game rolls around, but City is going to be absolutely gassed. Again, for the Red Bulls, Columbus at home, trip to Portland, never easy. Trip to Montreal, that simply must be 3 points. Must. Yep. City at home, Cincy at home, and then at Columbus again. For my money, if they want to make things easy on themselves, they need 3 wins here. and maybe a little bit more. And who thought that the Revs would play such a role in who makes the playoffs this year? Chicago going into Miami, I honestly don't see Chicago coming out with a win there. And they've got 4 games at home yet left to go. So, New York obviously only can take care of themselves. They're going to have to win 3 and maybe 4 of these games if they want to make the playoffs. Again, we've said it before, Dan. They are even on wins to where they were last year at the end of the season. They could finish 10 points above where they finished last year and miss the playoffs. So, they're 9th in the East, but they're 15th in the league. It speaks to how strong the East is. Before we get to Columbus, obviously, we talked about a little bit last week. The window closed. Julian de Guzman, who's the sporting director for the Red Bulls, will meet the press on Thursday afternoon. You can watch for comments on Seeing Red socials. I'm sure Dan's socials. I'm sure my socials. And the question, as it always is, are you doing everything you can to win this team an MLS Cup? And given this window, Gustav Berggren notwithstanding, I would be hard pressed to say that we are. Dax McCarty certainly doesn't think so. Taylor Twellman certainly doesn't think so. I think the zeitgeist around MLS is that the Red Bulls just they don't have their heart in it. They're not pushing as hard as they can. You can't tell me that, okay, so Timo Werner isn't coming over here for $4 million. There isn't someone else in the world you can get for $3 million from South America, from Eastern Europe, from the Nordics, from Africa, from anywhere in the world. You can't get a $3 million striker or a $2 million or even a $1 million. Like, what are we doing here, Daniel?
I think that's the unfortunate thing about this whole season, because when you look at, I think Dax brought it up perfectly on MLS Countdown. Like, when he was on the team, they had everything but the very high-end offensive talent to kind of push them over. Now, Red Bull has Emil Forsberg. Now they have Choupo-Moting. But the middle of the roster is dead weight. It really is. It's unfortunate, but that's just how the cookie has crumbled with their roster building. Their TAM players are atrocious at the moment, other than Kyle Duncan with his ups and downs. U22 are pretty non-existent other than Noah Ayla. So when you only have 2 DPs and 1 U22 in your starting 11, I mean, that's not a good look. They have an open DP spot that they haven't used all year. Yeah. They had it. If they didn't use that DP slot, they could have used it for a U22 slot. They haven't used that all year. Yep. And they would have gotten an extra GAM as well to make trades inside the league, which probably would have gotten them another, a domestic player.
They just seem disinterested.
I don't even, there's like no explanation for it. It's just like, what are they doing? Are they actually doing anything in the offices? I know de Guzman is, because he's running Red Bull 2 very well at the moment. He does a lot of good deals for them. He's gotten 2 players of his signed to the first team. So the question is, where's Jochen Schneider? That's the biggest question. Where's Mario Gomez? Where's Jurgen Klopp? Like, what are they doing to, elevate this New York team? Because obviously, when you look at the overall Red Bull Global, they are the 14th. They are the 4th team out of 5, I believe. If you ask me, but they're still young players. They're still young talent here that can be developed if you put a team around them. So I think that's that's like my biggest gripe about it, is like, there's definitely potential with this team. It just needs just some investment, like just a bit.
And to be clear, and arm wrestling matches on social media platforms notwithstanding, like, they're not a bad team.
No,
they're not a great team. They're just kind of meh. And when you've made the playoffs for 15 years in a row, this is what meh. Like, this is a bad year.
Yeah.
But, and again, your mileage may vary, not telling anyone how to feel. There are teams in this league that haven't made the playoffs since COVID. Yeah. Right? Which is hard to do. it's hard to do when 9 out of 15 teams in each conference
Mm-hmm.
make it. They're smack dab in the middle of the league. They're just mediocre. And the fact that it is de Guzman and not Schneider that's speaking, I think, sends a message to the fan base, many of whom very vocally are, dumping their
And it's not like
Jokinc's
not been around. Like he's
Yeah.
at every home game. He's at Red Bull 2 games every week. So
yeah,
I don't know. I don't really have any answers for people to ask what's going on in that building, because I don't even know what's going on. Like I feel like if you couldn't get Timo Werner, there should have been
another
real
player
backup option, because it was always going to be hard to convince Timo to give up his 12 million euro salary and take an incentive-based one.
Right.
He could just say, I'll just take the 12 million and come for you next year.
And sit on the bench.
Yeah.
So, I mean, players like, this is not supposed to be a pity party, but like Victor Bogas, we haven't seen it. Right. Yengar, we really haven't seen it. Seen it consistently. Perhaps the addition of Bergeron to the lineup, which could happen as early as this weekend, will create a little more forward focus from the center of the pitch and solidify the spine a little bit more, notwithstanding Stroud and notwithstanding Edelman, who are solid MLS players, but someone with just a slight bit more quality. Anyway, let's talk about Columbus. That's who the game is. Here's Columbus. That's 29. How did we get here? My God.
Yeah.
Columbus is a good team. They're right above City. They're 12, 6, and 9 for 45 points, 6 losses all season. That's pretty good. They've scored 43, conceded 38 in 27 matches. They have a solid record away from lower.com field. They only have 3 road losses all season. That's very good. Tops in the league in possession. That's Wilfred Nancy. First in touches in the opponent's box, but not goals. They don't foul. They don't get yellow carded. And they are shaky early. 10 times in 27 games, they've conceded in the first 15 minutes. We all know how important it is for the Red Bulls to score the first goal.
Yep.
And they're vulnerable. Their last 5, mezza. They drew to Toluca and then lost in the penalty kick in League's Cup. They haven't played a lot since League's Cup. 3-1 win against Puebla, 1-0 win against Leon. 2 wins and a shootout loss was not enough to get Columbus into the quarterfinals of the League's Cup. Oh, well, they went to Toronto and suffered a really embarrassing 1-1 draw. And then even more embarrassing, they lost to New England last weekend. So this is a team that needs they're in a little bit of a funk. And we haven't seen Columbus all year. It's absolutely insane that it's Labor Day weekend, and that's the first time we're seeing the Columbus Crew.
Yep.
They added Lassi Lapalainen, who came from Montreal, who's kind of been around the league a bit now. They added Ibrahim Aliu from Houston. The big addition here, obviously, is Daniel Gazdag, $4.1 million from Philadelphia. He was a bit of a cancer on the Union, and it looks like he's not exactly lighting it up with the Crew. Among the people that have departed, DeJuan Jones, names you must know, Christian Ramirez went to the Galaxy. Cucho Hernandez was sold in the offseason for $15 million to Real Betis. That is the definition of a player that came to MLS to increase their stature, and what a payout for the Crew, and what a payout for Cucho. Very, very glad he's not on this team anymore. Marino Hinestrosa went to Atletico Nacional. Yaya Boa went to LAFC on a free. Keegan Hughes went to New England. When we talk, come on back. When we talk about possession, glad you're paying attention, Daniel. We're talking about possession without penetration. Since the appointment of Nancy, Columbus is often one of the best teams in MLS, playing beautiful soccer. However, this year something's changed with the Crew. While they still play pretty plenty, the team has lacked a cutting edge that previous teams have had. And much of that can be attributed to the loss of Cucho Hernandez, who joined Real Betis in the offseason. However, they have Diego Rossi, former LAFC. They have Daniel Gazdag. who are both proven goal scorers, but the struggle remains evident. The Crew are hoping that focal point in Palestinian striker Wessam Abu Ali can put their goal-scoring woes to bed. And then Gloomy Gazdag, he's been part of the uninspiring Crew offense this season. You could point to a lack of a focal point as a prime reason for their struggles, but since he's been there, he had more contributions for the Union in 6 games this season than he has in 22 appearances with the Crew. Woof. The 96 all-time meeting between these old school 96ers. Let's go. They have a slight edge, 4-match edge over the Red Bulls all time. The last time these two teams met, we all remember the epic Eastern Conference first round playoff series where after a 2-2 draw, the Red Bulls won a penalty shootout in a meaningful competition and eliminated the Crew and shocked MLS on their way to MLS Cup. They haven't beaten the Crew in 3 regular season matches, though. The last regular season win in Harrison was a 2-1 win on March 18th of 2023, very, very early in the season, where Luquinhas and Dante Vanzier had the goals. That feels like a million billion years ago. My God. All-time Red Bulls are pretty solid against Columbus at home, 23, 15, and 4. BWP, the all-time leader. Forsberg has 3. And then this what might be Wilfred Nancy's lineup. The 2 wingbacks can fit in kind of anywhere. I'm calling this a 5-2-2-2, but Arfsen and Herrera get all the way up the field and thrown into attack. Patrick Schulte, young American goalkeeper, has only 3 clean sheets in this season in 23 matches and has conceded 32 times. He is definitely off. He's definitely taken a step back. Part of that is the defense in front of him. Max Arfsen has played with the national team this summer in the Gold Cup with 6 goals and 3 assists from the left back position. Almundsen, former NYC, with 2 and 2s. Sean Zawadski with 2 goals. Steven Moreira, 1 and 2. And Marcelo Herrera on the right from Argentina, 2 goals and 2 assists. So this is a team that relies a whole lot more on balls coming in from the left. The 6s are Dylan Shambost, a 28-year-old Frenchman, and Taha Habruni, a 19-year-old. I believe he's homegrown. Then Diago Rossi, 16 and 4, the main man for the Crew. Daniel Gazdag, 4 and 3 so far for Columbus. And then Abu Ali up top has just come in from Al Ali from Egypt, where he had 19 goals and 4 assists in 34 games. He can put the ball in the net. Mo Farsi's out. Darlington Nagbe's out. Rudy Camacho, center back, is out. And so, my friend, I mean, they got to win the game. They got to win the game. It's not complicated. What do you think?
Yeah, they have to win. Like you said, haven't won in the regular season since 23 at home against them. And I'll say Abu Ali, I saw him in person against FC Porto in the Club World Cup.
Mm-hmm.
He can score. I'll say that. So he'll be dangerous up top. But like you said, they've struggled in their last couple of MLS games. They have not won in their last 3. And they start a 3-game road trip. So this is their first game on the road. Then they play Atlanta and then NYC. So they're going to look to start this road trip off on a good footing as they look to, remain in the top 4 in the East. So both teams are definitely playing for something. Red Bull have to be, they have to go all out. They need 3 points here. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If New England can beat them in Columbus, you can beat them at home. So they definitely need a win here.
The September camp roster has just been released by U.S. Soccer. Just so you know, this is for the game a week from now against South Korea. Max Arfsen has been called in. Tyler Adams, our old friend, will be playing at home. Sean Zawadski will be playing in this game. Pulisic, Sargent, Weah, Damian Downs, our friend Tim Ream will be there as well. So just letting you know, Patrick Schulte will not be on this U.S. men's team's roster. We'll get into that another time. We'll do that next week. All right. So do you have a prediction, sir? Saturday night, must win, do or die. What you got?
So they need a win. They've showed that they can win in big games against Columbus the past 12 months. They have shown that they can get those wins. So let's go with it. Let's go with a 2-1 win.
I like it. I might call it a 2-2 draw to be different. A draw really hurts New York. And again, we're going to root for DC to stand up and punch NYC in the face. And we're going to root for the Miami Messies to tattoo Chicago and keep them below the line. We're back on Seeing Red. We're going straight to emails. Let's do it. Keep it here. We're back and playing the music. It's Seeing Red, the New York Soccer Roundup. This is the time that we ask you to like and subscribe, so you should definitely do that. That would be helpful to us. We also will let you know once again that seeingredny@gmail.com is the place to reach out to us and let us know what you think. We have 3 mails. Now, you wanted me to read the first one, is that right?
No, I will go with the first.
You got the first one. We got the,
also, since you want to break news, I will also break news that Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift are now engaged.
All right.
So
happy for them.
We both have some breaking news. So
it's of various import. Go for it. Here's Nathan McCarter. Go for it.
All right, Nathan MacArthur. Here we go. Or McCarter, yes. Mark and Dan. Really enjoy the weekly show, and thank you for everything you do to keep us informed with the latest on all things Red Bull. Yes, you are welcome. We try. We
do.
I'm writing to comment on the disappointing transfer window. It feels like we are 1 or 2 pieces away from making another run, but the only interesting option was a move that seemed to help our European team salary cap. With the World Cup coming in 2026, it seems the perfect time to invest in the franchise like we've seen with many other teams in MLS. I've only been a Red Bull fan for a short amount of time, since 2020. So my question for you guys is on the history of the Red Bull organization in New York. Have they been good stewards of the franchise, or are they just using New York as a farm team for Europe? Nathan.
Thank you, Nathan. I don't think there's a lot of evidence that would indicate that they're using the team as a farm team for Europe. I think it's a third option. It's not good stewards or using the team as a farm team for Europe. I think the overall Red Bull organization really appreciates having a beachhead in New York. I think they like the fact that Red Bull is attached to the team and is mentioned. I think the team is investing heavily in things like the $80 million training complex, which is going up in Morris Township in New Jersey, which is going to be among the best. And many folks have said this on social media. I think you still can go out there and spend a little bit more to make the team more competitive. So I definitely don't think it's a farm team for Europe. I think what it is a placeholding branding spot. I think they believe very strongly in youth development.
Mm-hmm.
But the question that has to be asked every single year, Nathan, is, are you doing everything you can to win the cup? And if the answer is no, why not? And if the answer is, well, there is no answer to that. Well, do that, please, because there's a reason that, fans don't fill this place up every week, every other week. And a piece of it has to do with a general ambivalence, contentment about being among the better teams in the East, but not necessarily having to be the best.
Yeah. I'll continue on that. I mean,
please.
To be fair, Red Bull does invest a lot in the area, training facility that's going to be finished this year.
Yep.
The academy is one of the best in the country.
Yep.
The overall region of New York, New Jersey, Connecticut is like one of the best soccer beds in the U.S. My only thing right now is Red Bull has all this money. They spend all this money in every different aspect of life, racing, advertisement, sponsoring, other sporting ventures. What's 10 million more to just say, hey, Red Bull, go, or New York, go sign someone to make the team even better? Because I feel like they see New York right now as a something that can make their books look good. Because they're a profitable team. Every team in MLS is profitable at a certain point. But I feel like they're looking at it the wrong way. Because I feel like if you brought in, one or two guys like Nathan is saying to make this team even better, to make this team a contender, people will look at Red Bull like, oh, look at them. They're competing in Germany, Austria. The Brazilian team is good.
Yep.
Now they have a team in New York that's actually going for it. When people look at the overall aspect of global soccer, people will look at Chelsea now. They'll look at the City Group as being better than Red Bull. So it seems like Red Bull's taken a step back in their overall, organizational push for competitiveness. So, that's my only thing. I feel like they should spend 10 million more. I feel like 10 million for Red Bull is like $1 to me. So maybe even less. So, and fans will also say that because obviously they are investing, but it's just not with the senior team at a higher level than, Minnesota's spending more than Red Bull. Like teams like in Ohio, like Columbus and Cincinnati are spending more than Red Bull. Like smaller market teams are spending more than Red Bull. And I feel like people are seeing that as a black eye on the organization now.
Yeah, I mean, as we talked about in our first segment, the way that they are going about trying to win is not in line with how the top contenders in MLS are, right? Mm-hmm. I have a number of people that basically are like, well, why wouldn't we get Sun? Why wouldn't we get Sonny? Why wouldn't we even be in the running for Sonny?
Yeah.
And the answer is because that's just not the way they think. They don't believe that it is going to make financial sense. And as you said, there are a whole lot of folks that understand this is one of the largest consumer brands in the world. And why should there even be a budget? I mean, if you're going to spend a fraction of what you spend on MLS than you do on your two F1 teams, why not spend just a little bit more? So thank you, Nathan, for your note. I've got the next two. Here's Charlie DiRenzo, who's writing, longtime listener, first-time emailer. Let's go.
Hey,
thank you.
Yes.
So hoping to send an email off this week, high off a second win against a former playoff chance, but it didn't go our way. I'm sure you've discussed it, but a couple of chances go our way. It's a different story. Too bad. It looks like this is what the ceiling is for the team we have, and we just hope that Chicago scuzzes it up majorly over the last 2 months. I think what Dak said on MLS Countdown is very valid, especially with the top two that are performing as needed, and the youngsters sometimes punch above their weight, but the main body of the team isn't up to snuff, and the front office isn't giving us what we need to compete. I'm still astounded that the front office struggles to entice players to play and live in New York City. A world-class city should be easy to promote, yet every target hems and haws about moving from their mid-sized city in Portland or Saudi Arabia. We constantly talk about LA or Miami as big draws for talent, but it misses the city entirely. My question is Dax talking on a platform like this, on a platform that's essentially MLS State TV, does the fact that he can say this on air means there could be an internal push from MLS to Red Bull to put more in this team?
No.
I mean, they've been trying since 2006. They've been trying for 20 years. I feel similar to Andrew Wiebe when he went on a rant on the Extra Time podcast in the middle of last season. If the media of MLS is saying this stuff, it's reached the inner circles of the league, not just podcasts and Reddit threads. Could it be the single of future action? Nope.
No.
I don't want to get my hopes up, but as someone who can't buy tickets, I don't have any pull, and I would hope that someone in HQ does. Also, one question regarding Morgan. What are the odds of negotiating down his contract after his current one? Yes, Morgan is great when he can play, but he can't rely on a goal scorer who can be on the field for 50% of his job. I obviously want him here. If he's only partly available, we need to free up some money to pay for backups who aren't scrubs. The Red Bulls are nowhere near the salary cap. Keep that in mind.
Yeah,
They have an open DP slot. I mean, sure, ideally you want to be as efficient as you can with your contracts. I also just want to say thank you to Mark for seeing red to keep me engaged of all things Red Bulls. I lived on Long Island during the Henri years and fell in love with the team and kept my fandom all the way in Boston. Now I live in England, and even though the times here are crazy for me, I make sure to watch as much as I can. I haven't been able to go to a home game in 10 years. But your analysis and interviews have been amazing throughout. Thank you for keeping me in the loop with the team I love, frustrating as it's been. Much love to you, and keep doing what you're doing. Charlie in England. Thank you so much for writing and listening and watching, Charlie. That's really awesome. Daniel, do you have anything to add to what Charlie had to say?
I just want to say that's dedication. For all the fans out in the UK or not in the country, shout out to you guys for staying up and watching the games. But yeah, the first part we'll say about not being able to attract people to a world-class city like New York City. That's just personal preference for some people. Some guys just don't want to be in New York. LA, the warm weather, Miami, the warm weather. I think that's like a big thing for Europeans. They don't want to deal with the cold half the year. Chupo was great when he was talking to Brad. He talked about wanting that challenge and living in the city, because he actually does live in the city.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big thing for Red Bulls, because they can offer living in the city. They can offer living in Jersey City, and they can offer living in the suburbs of Jersey as well. So I feel like some guys kind of maybe overlook that when they're looking at Red Bull, but that's definitely something that Red Bull should definitely look at. Dax talking on MLS Countdown. Red Bull doesn't care what anybody says. Mark, someone MLS,
Don Garber,
they don't care. They will not listen. That won't move them to make any moves.
No.
And Morgan, it's unfortunate.
Yeah.
That's just the situation we're in. They definitely won't buy down his contract, because they already are. So, because they already are buying him down to a TAM deal. So he's making 1.4 whatever. So yeah.
Do you know how many minutes Lewis Morgan has played this year?
60.
He has played 148 minutes, 3 starts, 2 starts in 3 matches.
And I know people are clamoring about him coming back. Like, sure, does he come back? Maybe. I just don't think he's going to be a positive player for the rest of the season. It's just injuries, man. They build up, and especially the ones that he has with his knee, his hips. Like, once your hips go, it's kind of that's the start of the downfall. And it's unfortunate, because he was one of our better players when he was healthy, man. Lewis Morgan was a guy. He was one of those like guys that came out of nowhere from Miami. You're like, oh yeah, he's a good player, and then he comes to New York and is scoring goals. You're like, wow, he's a player. But yeah, injuries, man. They always catch up to everybody, and for him, unfortunately, it's been 2-3 years with major injuries. So we'll see what he can do the rest of the season, even if he comes back. So
he will be likely back after this weekend. Consider that there is an international break, right? The U.S. is playing at Red Bull Sports Illustrated Stadium. Bing. Next weekend.
Yep,
not this weekend. Next weekend, I will be there as well. So he'll be back after. And there's no reason to rush him on. Thank you so much, Charlie, for your amazing
Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you for your support from England. Here's Connor Ferran asking a non-Red Bulls question, since the team is sadly not the most fun thing to talk about. How do you feel about the commentators for Season Pass? Steve Cangelosi and Danny Higginbotham are really great, and I think should be considered the top duo over Jake Zivin and Taylor Trollman. Maybe that's Steve's relationship with the Red Bulls, having listened to him for so many years. Aside from Steve and Danny, Lloyd, Sam, Fred's pretty good color commentary. However, most of the other people are really hard to listen to. For home games, I almost always go with Red Bull's radio. I really wish they could make that available for away games because they do travel and it's available. Thoughts on season pass talent? Do you think they'll ever roll out local audio for all games? Or are they hesitant to do that because no one will listen to the people they've hired? There's literally a tech reason why road radio is not considered. It has to do with the number of audio channels that physically can be plugged in on a live basis coming from the stadium.
Yeah.
Trust me, long discussions with both Matt and Steve Jolly about that, and it's frustrating for them. And we know it's frustrating. Do you have any thoughts on talent for MLS? And before I say that, I just want to say, I'm sure any of you that were watching last week caught Taylor Twellman saying, Red Bull fans, I actually agree with you for once about what's happening with your team. I know this is shocking to you that I'm agreeing with Red Bull fans, because he has certainly been the focus of fans' ire over the years. But Kanji versus Twellman, where do you fall?
I mean, Steve is clearly the better commentator, like the play-by-play guy. He's the best one in the league. There's no question about that. I also have a gripe of having remote calls of games. Like,
yeah,
that's a big thing for Apple that they do. That's kind of a joke if you ask me, especially now in 2025. I just feel like they don't have enough commentators as well. Like, I feel like sometimes they're just not being able to get on site, and that's why they have to call games off site. So maybe that's a thing Apple should look at. Obviously, it costs more to put people on site, but it's better. It's a better product when a commentator feels the game, feels the atmosphere of the game. So that's just a personal opinion from me. Is stop these off-site calls of games because they're whack, if you ask me.
I mean, and to take nothing away from Lloyd, who is calling 4 games a weekend for MLS. Yeah. And we love Lloyd, and I very much appreciate his commentary.
That's hard to do.
Yeah, it's very hard to do.
Like, the amount of work you have to put in just for one game. Him doing 3 to 4 games a week is crazy. Like, that just shows how kind of amateurish Apple is dealing with this situation.
It really makes you wonder what year 4 of this 10-year deal will be like next year, because already, although it was never announced in any media release, Red Bull games are appearing on MSG on tape delay a couple of days later. MSG certainly has the time. I don't know if there's any dollars being thrown out there, but the Apple TV broadcast is appearing on tape delay on MSG, and this is happening across the league, because I think there's a real understanding that while the Apple TV deal has been great financially, the league is disappearing in general from the major market sports consciousness, because the games are never on network TV. Rarely. They're games on Fox.
And I've heard subscriber base has gone down this year. So that's probably another reason why they're putting games on regional broadcast, because nobody's paying, no offense, there's not a lot of people in the world that are like,
paying for it.
I'll pay $20 or $15 a month to watch just my MLS team.
Right. So I mean, Steve is a friend of the show. We have all been accustomed to listening to his calls for decades. I always appreciate when he gets a Red Bulls game, as does he. I think he's among the best quality announcers in soccer in this country.
He's the best. He is.
Yeah, I think JD Della Camera makes my ears bleed when I have to listen to, I like John Strong a bit. Taylor Twellman's ESPN speak analysis is, where he punctuates a sentence at the end, and this is what I think, and it's like he was trained to do that from his time at ESPN, to make his analysis in short, punchy sentences. I think Jake Zibin's a fine play-by-play person. So, I mean, I agree with you. I think I appreciate the fact that we're not talking about why the front office isn't spending in this email, Connor. So I appreciate having something else to focus on. But yeah, I mean, we love Steve. Enough said.
Love Steve.
We've come to an end of a great Seeing Red. If your emails weren't read, please don't feel bad. We only have so much time to get everything in. Thank you to Zach Feldman for stats. Daniel Rebain calls Sunday Saturday's game a what?
2-1 victory.
2-1 victory. I'm going to call it a 2-2 draw. If you're going to Red Bull Arena this week, be loud. The team really needs you. They really need. We all need Sports Illustrated's home field advantage to get 3 very, very crucial points. Or for the first time in Seeing Red history, we'll be talking about a non-playoff team, and I don't particularly care for that. So for Daniel, I'm Mark. Thanks for watching. We'll come back next week and do a short show. Maybe we'll get some U.S. men's national team folks to come and talk to us about the game. If not, let's go Red Bulls. Have a great one, everyone. Bye-bye.